Hi friends, I'm making a video after pretty long time, 3-4 months. The reason why I'm posting this video is some very important moment which will determine the course of world history for the next few years. I know I'm using very big words when I say course of world history and all are going to come up. Um, as you know, tomorrow, November 3rd, is the elections in United States. The world, not only the American people, the whole world suffered under the 4 years of um, rule of Trump. I don't want to use, I don't know what adjective I can use, maybe clownish, um, idiot, moronish. I don't know, but whatever it is, the world has suffered. He has hasn't quickened the pace of the decline of US, which started around 15-20 years back in the mid 90s or late 90s when US was basking under the glory that they have defeated the Soviet Union and become the hyperpower. That's the time when the decline started, when probably at the height of their power they failed to notice their arrogance. Probably they failed to notice the emergence of China. As some of you may have noted, around 10 days back, IMF has said that probably China is the world's biggest economy right now in terms of per capita PPP GDP. So they have already overtaken US as the world's largest economy. That's inevitable. As I said, US lacks proper infrastructure. In fact, the major theme of Joe Biden's campaign this time is build back better. So he says that the tax cuts which have been announced by Trump to favor the big corporates and high net worth individuals, they want to scrap that and put that money back to building infrastructure, building bridges, building roads, building buildings, all the things which will give more employment to the working class population. Of course, Trump calls it as a socialistic agenda. Maybe the word socialism, communism, or something like Gali words in US electoral scene. He calls Biden as a communist and all that. Anyway, so it's a very important election. Many people say that it's a tightly contested election. No, I don't think so. It's pretty lopsided right now. I will explain it. That's why I kept the map of US electoral map from CNN website where we can build our own thing. I will explain this a bit later. Of course, many people didn't predict Trump victory in 2016, but I, for one, definitely said that Trump is likely to win. Because the margin was always pretty low. Okay, Clinton, in fact, had more than 2% national lead win over Trump. But she lost the electoral college. About the electoral college in US and how it functions and all, I posted a video 3-4 months back in YouTube. Please, also in Facebook, please refer to that. I'm not going to explain that again. uh, but she won the national vote. She got more than 2.5 million, 25 lakh votes more than Trump nationally, but she still lost. There are many reasons for that. One of the reason was people who oppose Trump, people who know his clownish, childish, idiotic behavior, never believed that he can become president. So many people didn't turn up at all. They thought that anyway Hillary is winning, and why should we take the pains to go and vote? Historically, the US voting percentage has always been low. Last election saw only around 55% turnout. That's how it is. As you know, Bihar first phase elections are also had only around 55%. Some states like Bihar and UP traditionally always had lower voting percentage compared to like Kerala, always more than 80%, West Bengal always more than 80%, northeastern states, some Mizoram, Nagaland, more than 80-85%. Some correlation can be made with the literacy levels. That's in India. US is a place where it's almost 100% literacy level. So maybe complacency of the Democratic voters who thought anyway Hillary Clinton will win. And second reason was Hillary was not very popular. She was seen as an establishment candidate. Um, so her husband has already served as United States president for 2 years. Though many people said that, and probably it's true also, that she is more capable and more intelligent than her husband. But she was always seen as an establishment candidate, and she was not liked very much by many people who thought her was more scheming, plotting, and all that, etc. So she didn't create that enthusiasm among the Democratic voters, particularly the young voters who would have preferred Bernie Sanders, who contested against her in the Democratic primaries and lost. Probably Bernie would have defeated Trump last time because he carried though he is more than 80 now, but he calls himself a socialist, and only socialist in United States probably, and he had the huge support of the young people, but the Democratic Party establishment preferred Hillary Clinton, and somehow made her the Democratic candidate, thinking that Trump is a weak candidate. But Trump won few states with a very narrow margin. Michigan, for example, with 0.2% of the votes, are around 11,000 votes. Pennsylvania by less than 1%. So big some states, he won three states, around 1.5 lakh votes in the three key states: Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Would have changed the history of US, and US being the most dominant country, the history of the world also. We would not have seen the trade war between US and China. That was the original reason for the slowing down of the economies of all the countries of the world. Indian economy was shrink. Indian economy was seeing for more than 2 years consecutive every quarter growth, even before the onset of coronavirus pandemic. So obviously Netanyahu would not have been so blatantly violating the international norms by building more and more illegal constructions in West Bank and announcing a West Bank annexation plan, which he didn't do. He settled for diplomatic relations with some Arab countries last month and all that. So many things, and US withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord. That is much more important because that will affect not only our lives, but children, our lives, our children, our grandchildren's life also. The US being the largest polluter must be part of any climate deal. Biden now wants a new deal. New no, he doesn't support the new Green Deal, but many elements of the deal he does support, and he wants to build more wind energy, solar energy. And Trump, in the third and final debate between the presidential candidates, said that kills people, and wind causes pollution, wind kills birds, and all nonsense he was making. Of course. The claims were somewhat similar to Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi's claim that while he was talking to somebody, some Danish minister, Denmark minister, he was claiming that with wind he will produce some clean water and all that, and Danish minister was astounded and said, uh, so you are more than all our scientists combined, something like that. He said that also. Anyway, birds are the same flaw, so I don't want to talk about India in this video, whatever it is. And therefore, and many opinion polls didn't predict the winner last time. They were right in predicting a victory for Clinton in the national vote by around 4%. That was the average thing, but she won only by 2.5%. But that was within the margin of error. But they were wrong with the electoral college. That's because the system, how it works in US, is very different. The electoral college system there. So, but they did. In the electoral surveys, they many of the things in the postmortem, they realized that in their sample, they underestimated the voting power of white voters without a college degree. Um, so that was a big mistake which has been done, because these voters normally don't. Most of the surveys in US are done over phone, they'll call randomly, and but many of these college uneducated people, uneducated without a college degree, they normally don't pick up and answer the queries there. Even if they pick up the phone, they'll cut it because they may be busy with their work and all that. So that was a probable mistake, and there are a lot of undecided voters last year. Almost 20% of the voters were undecided till the last minute, till the last day of polling. So they, most of them went for Trump in the last day, believing that Hillary Clinton was a establishment candidate, whereas Trump was a successful businessman, and he used to say that he is so successful that he never paid, though he has got billions of dollars in wealth, he has never paid income tax also. He used to that probably, that bravado, even though there's a fake and false bravado, people liked it. So he was seen as a more of a simpleton, or he'll speak what he feels, whereas Clinton was seen as a plotting, scheming kind of a witch. So many of the undecided voters last minute voted for Trump, and many of the committed Democratic voters didn't turn up, assuming that anyway Hillary Clinton is leading in most of the all the opinion polls, and they didn't turn up because she didn't create that enthusiasm among the voters like in the same manner Barack Obama did, who is also a good orator. So these factors are the thing. Now coming to this election, in the last 1 year, Trump has never led any opinion poll. He has been consistently behind Joe Biden, who is also seen as an establishment candidate. But now, even the young voters who are people who are leaning Democrat, not though they are not part of the, they are not members of the Democratic Party, but tend to lean with more liberal values as opposed to the rural white male conservative voters who tend to vote Republican. The young Democratic voters, they again, the first choice preference would have been Bernie Sanders, but they know, they have seen 4 years of Trump. They know how he has taken US to historic depths, how the name calling of even former US presidents also, name calling of close US allies like Australian Prime Minister, Canadian Prime Minister, Angela Merkel, German Chancellor, and all that, and the very crude, uncouth behavior. And he is not even ready to publish his income tax details, and the way he has handled the coronavirus, the pandemic, without wearing a mask and stuff like that. So he has become so unpopular that his approval rating was never above 45% in US, even before Corona also. So Corona completely finished him off his whatever little chances of re-election. So I don't think Trump has any chances of re-election. So the map will now, another big change this year is Democrats have learned, or even the neutrals have learned from the mistakes of the last election. So their last election, US has around 25 crore voters, 250 million, population of around 31 crores, and 25 million voters are, sorry, 25 crore voters are there. Out of that last election, around 13.5 crore people voted, 135 million people voted out of 250 million. Roughly around 55-56% people voted. Now, many US states allow early voting. Either you can go in person to the polling booth and vote, or through mail-in ballots you can request for the mail voting, and absentee voting is also can be done. Now, with 1 day to go for elections, around 95 million people, or 9.5 crore people, have already cast their ballots. So the die is almost already cast. So you can't change it, right? They've already voted. They don't want to wait for the last day because they don't want to repeat the same mistake of the last election, allowing Trump to, somehow squeeze past that using electoral college. Secondly, the pandemic. Nobody wants to go to the thing, and a lot of queues and waiting and all those stuff on the election day on November 3rd. So 95 million people, or 9.5 crore people, have already voted, which is more than 70% of the total voting of 13.5 crore people in the 2016 elections. So people say that with 1 day to go, it will be easily topping more than 10 crore. And this year, probably more than 15 crore people will be voting, much more than last year. And one of the important things have been the enthusiasm of the young voters to come and vote. So they are likely to vote more democratic. So Trump was essentially, I'll come back. What are the escape routes for Trump to challenge the final verdict of this election? I'll come to it once I discuss the electoral map. So this is how it stands right now. So already before the election day, only around 5 crore people are expected to vote. And already, more than, so if it is 5 crore people and 10 crore people have already voted, two-thirds have already voted. So they've already made their decision. And some states like Texas, which has been which has not voted Democrat in the last 50 years, which is the second most important state electorally after California. In many opinion polls say it is a photo finish. So both candidates, in some polls, Biden is leading by 1 or 2 points. In some polls, Trump is leading by 1 or 2 points. But the margin is well with it. It's a statistical tie. It's a dead heat. So it's the margin is which this is a state which Trump carried by comfortably by around 9% points in the last elections against Hillary. So he is now fighting for the battle. Without Texas, all routes to White House 270 are closed for him. So even in Texas, Texas has a maximum number of early voters. Almost 1 crore people, 95 lakh people have already voted in Texas, which is more than the total number of votes polled in the last election. Total early voting plus the final day voting in 2016 was only around 90 lakh. This time, more than 95 lakh people have already voted before the election day itself. And most of them are young voters, a lot of people with Hispanics, blacks, people who have been traditionally, powerless people, the category of people, they all are coming out in big, big numbers and coming and voting there. So that even I wouldn't be surprised if Texas brings a surprise and for the first time in last 50 years going blue. So here on the map you can see three colors are there, but red normally stands for solid Republican states to which Republican Party Trump is a candidate, and blue represents the color of Democrats, and Joe Biden is a candidate. So yellow are the toss-up states, so swing states which can go either way. It's too close to call right now. So right now, but we are going to call. So if you see the map, electoral map, I'm trying to make it big for you so that you can understand. Uh, so some states are already, there's no contest at all. Visibly, there is no contest at all in few of the states. Some of them are solidly red and some of them are solidly blue, and it's not going to change, and nobody is expecting any change also. But as it shows, no, the solid blue states, both on the west coast, that is California, New Mexico, these states. Washington, the state of Washington, and all that. So on the west coast, Pacific coast, and on the northeastern coast of Atlantic coast, the New York, New Jersey belt. So these are heavily populated areas, and they are strong democratic. So the Biden has already 209 votes in his bank. Nobody can change that. Whereas though Republicans are pretty strong in the Midwest, all the red states in the middle, and in the Southeast also. So the Midwestern states are very less population. So the states are allotted in Midwest are allotted less number of electoral college votes, which is based on the population of that state. So though geographically the area controlled by the Republicans are much more than what is controlled by the Democrats, since the population of these states are very low, they are essentially agricultural states with prairie belt, Midwestern belt where mainly cattle ranching is operation. Very few, again, the demography favors the Republicans because they are mostly white only states with very less, whereas both coasts, California and New York, are melting pots with so much of different cultures, different migrations, and skilled workers and stuff like that. So they normally are more liberal and tend to vote Democratic, whereas the Midwestern states, the big states, prairie belt states, are essentially white states, and they tend to be conservative and Republican. So now Trump has only won 19 votes, solid behind him. So he starts with a huge disadvantage. Now, essentially, there are only what do you call? There are the battle is only there for a few states. So there, so in the top corner of the this thing, you can see that belt. MN stands for Minnesota. It has got 10 electoral college votes. Iowa has 6 votes. IA is Iowa. WA is Wisconsin. That has got also 10 electoral college votes. Whereas the other side of the map is you can see Michigan and Pennsylvania on the other side. So this area is called as the Great Lakes Belt. So as you can see that now Michigan has got 16 votes. Ohio has got 18 votes and Pennsylvania has got 20 votes. So all these 6 states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota. So all these states border the Great Lakes, or the 5 Great Lakes which form the border between US and Canada. Iowa doesn't share border, but is for easy explanation, I've also included Iowa in this belt. So we can call it Great Lakes Belt, or in US colloquially they call it as a Rust Belt. So this area was heavily industrialized, but in the last 20 years, as a factories shifted to China because of low cost of production there, steel factories, automobile factories, coal thermal power plants which have been shut down because of pollution and all that. So this belt is called as Rust Belt because these factories are not working anymore and they are becoming rust, getting rust. So it's called Rust Belt. So Rust Belt has traditionally been blue, but last election, as I said, 3 states, Pennsylvania 20 electoral votes, fifth most important after California, Texas, Florida, and New York, and Michigan, another sixth most important state. Ohio has voted both Democrat, is a swing state, sometimes Democratic, sometimes Republican, but solid blue wall of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. 20 plus 16 plus 10, 46. This is what, and these 3 states he won. Total vote number of votes was 1.2 lakh votes. If that 1.2 lakh votes in these 3 states have gone to Clinton, should have become the president of United States. It's such a small margin. So now Democrats are trying to rebuild that so-called blue wall. So now I've been following, tracking so many opinion polls. Some of them are blatantly one-sided, either completely favoring national vote. Right now, Biden is leading Trump by 7 to 9 percentage points, and with more than 2/3 of the votes already been cast, likely voters already voted. I don't see any big change in that. He will be winning the national vote by 7 to 9%. Even if the polls last time they predicted last 4 percentage lead for Hillary Clinton, and finally it was down to 2.2%. So the margin is only 1.8. So even if the margin this year is, the polls are wrong, like even by margin of error in most of the poll is around 3%, still Biden should be winning by 4 to 6% national vote. There's no doubt about that. He has a bigger margin of victory this time, probably much more, because the young voters are coming out and voting. The people who didn't vote last time, assuming that Hillary Clinton will win, all of them are coming. And this time also another big change is less than 5% of the people now are still undecided. We are already into the last day of before the election, so there is hardly any changes. Last time I said more than 20% were decided, most of them went for Trump in the last minute. This is highly unlikely to happen this time, with already, because Trump has polarized the society, either you are with me or against me kind of a thing there. So therefore there are no going to be big surprises in the opinion polls, in my opinion, and polls have themselves also corrected the flaw in sampling error, what they call it, a sampling error, has all been corrected in most of the polls. In these states, when you are tracking so many different polls, Pennsylvania, The last day, yesterday, also Trump visited there. He attended four rallies. Today, Mike Pence has gone. His vice presidential guy has gone there, and a couple of days back, Joe Biden went there. Obama also went there. Today, Kamala Harris is campaigning in Pennsylvania. Both vice presidential candidate Mike Pence and Kamala Harris are campaigning in Pennsylvania because it's a very important state with 20 votes, but 5 to 6%, very comfortable lead for Biden going into the last day. So I'm going to give it completely to the Democrats. It's not even leaning Democrat, it's completely Democrat because 5 to 6% is a very complete victory, easy victory actually. Okay, it has again gone back to this thing because the software, CNN software is not my software, so it's not that good. Same thing goes for Michigan. In fact, Michigan is leading by 7 to 8%, in some polls even by 10%, a little bit more than even Pennsylvania. So again, there is no doubt at all that Michigan will be tomorrow. Again, the last day of campaigning, Trump will be going to Michigan. Absolutely no doubt. Whether probably Trump is wasting his time going to states like Pennsylvania and Michigan. He's definitely losing these states. Oh, what is happening? Um, some little problem. Yeah, I got it now. Same thing goes for Wisconsin. Wisconsin is leading consistently by 8 to 9%, and again I don't see any this thing. So Democrats to a large extent were able to build this so-called blue wall, which they lost so narrowly or so unexpectedly to Trump. So this now these three states, once you take these three states, put it into the category of so a good thing about this interactive map is automatically the this thing changes. What do you call? Of course, as you know, California has the maximum number 55. Yeah. Now we started with only 210 for Biden. Now it has already become 255. The magic number is 270. The electoral college votes, that's a halfway mark. The total number of votes in the electoral college is 538. So you need very similar to India where 544 seats are there in the Lok Sabha. So the magic number is 270. 269 is halfway mark. 269 plus 1. 270 is the winning margin. So he's already so close and Trump is staying there still at 119. So these three states, but what happens to the other states in the, because I said there are two areas. One is the Rust Belt. Let's complete the Rust Belt and then go there. Again, one small state um, in the old England states. This one, this yellow is near. This is New Hampshire. New Hampshire has got only 4 votes. Initially, the Trump campaign managers thought that this state was carried by traditionally being heavily Democratic and carried comfortably by Hillary Clinton, but they thought this could be a potential swing state this time. But the opinion polls are very strongly suggesting a big lead for Joe Biden this time also in New Hampshire. So I'll also add that that's a very small this thing around only three votes are there only for that. That also I'll add anyway to Clinton. Sorry, but Joe Biden's kitty. The interactive map is suddenly stopped functioning, so maybe I have to go back and get things done rather than 1 minute. I'll just get it back again. CNN US electoral map. Yeah, I'm getting it again. So the other belt, apart from the Rust Belt, there are 7 states which we already discussed about. The 3 states, as I said, Pennsylvania we have already given to Mr. Joe Biden. Very comfortable victory, I said. Okay, so I have already given Michigan also to Joe Biden because I said it's all based on psephology, not my personal wishes, based on what are the opinion polls suggest in US. Right. So let us put all these things safely into Joe Biden's kitty. Now it leaves Ohio, another big state with 18 votes. So here, though few polls say that Biden is leading by 1 or 2 points, most of the polls say Trump is leading by 2 to 3 points. Though it is will still within the margin of error, I think finally it will. My guess that it will go to Trump. Ohio with 18 votes will go to Trump. Then Iowa. Iowa is a dead heat. Equal number of opinion polls plumb for either Trump or for Joe Biden, but all of them within 1 or 2 points, 48, 48, or 47, 49, 48, 49, 50, 49, like that. It's going on. So Iowa was won by traditionally a Republican state. So I think this time also by less than 1% margin, Trump will win that. Minnesota, traditionally a blue state. So last time also voted for Hillary Clinton. This time also Biden is winning very comfortably, not less than by 7 or 8% vote this time. So I do this also goes to Joe Biden with a comfortable victory, like in Wisconsin, like in other states. So as I said, this one, the New Hampshire also comfortably goes to Joe Biden. Right. So this now all the northern states are over. The Rust Belt and all the states in that are over. So now coming to the southern part, which is again lot of yellow, you can see that those are all the states also which are highly competitive right now. And these areas are called as from, let's say, from Georgia to Florida to Texas to Arizona to California. All these states are in the southern side. They are known as the Sun Belt states. They are more tropical states with a lot of sunshine. It doesn't snow in these places, at least in the southern parts of the states. So they are known as the Sun Belt states. So here also a big contest is going on. Um, so Texas. So as I said, Texas has to be the most important because after California, it has got the maximum number of electoral votes. So though many, I'll keep come to Texas last. Colorado, I think will go, though it is competitive, particularly the Senate race. Still, I would say it is good. It goes to Trump, not to Biden. It's a traditional red state, and I expect that to remain the same. New Mexico is traditionally this thing. Whereas Nevada, there's a small lead for Joe Biden, 2 percentage lead, and traditionally it has voted along with California 55. So Nevada traditionally votes like that because the big cities in the south are traditionally Democrat and the rural areas are Republican. But there's a voting strength in the cities, as you know, is much bigger than the rural areas. So it's not a comfortable victory, only a 2 to 3% victory in Nevada for Joe Biden, but I think he will carry that with him. Now comes Arizona and Texas, the areas, two states where Latino populations. These two states are Texas and Arizona, further west are bordering Mexico, and these are the two states with a lot of Mexican migration, both legal and illegal migration. So the Latinos, the Spanish-speaking people, play a big important role in that state. Before that, we'll come to that. Both North Carolina, NC is North Carolina with 15 electoral college votes, and GA is Georgia with 16 electoral college vote. Trump carried it last time comfortably. Georgia by around 5% margin and North Carolina by around 3 or 4% margin. But consistently, almost all opinion polls are saying that Joe Biden is having 3 to 4% lead in both North Carolina and Georgia. So, and as I said, not only due to the lead, but also due to the fact that many people have already voted, and that will again go to Joe Biden. The states which have voted for Trump last time are going for Joe Biden now. So now if you see the map, so already Florida is still there, 29%. So 29 votes, and Texas, another big state with 38 votes, and Arizona, a small state population because it's mostly desert, it's not industrialized also. Now you can see the map, and in the top, already Joe Biden has got 300 votes and already is a winner because mid point is 270, has already crossed it. He doesn't need Florida or Texas. So whereas Trump is half of what, almost half, 158. So he is, my opinion, personally, Florida, many polls are saying that Joe Biden is leading. Right, but again, Florida today, on 2nd of November, Barack Obama is also campaigning in Florida. Again, some counties are very, very strong. Harris County in Texas. So many places there are very strong Democratic thing, and most of the blacks who traditionally vote Democrats are coming out in large numbers and voting. That's what is, as I said, two-thirds of people have already voted. Two-thirds of the likely voters have already voted. So it's going to be there. Arizona, Joe Biden has been consistently leading. The lead, which was around 6 to 7% a month or so back, when Trump contacted coronavirus, has now come to 2 to 4% lead. But I still feel that the Democrats have done enough to carry Arizona with 11 votes there. So Florida is a real toss-up. Real toss-up. Texas, though some opinion polls say that Joe Biden is leading, some polls say that Trump is leading, and it's too close to call. I would say it still remains red. But Florida is a toss-up, real toss-up. Last time Trump is a real swing state. Last time Trump won it by 1.2% votes, whereas the previous two polls, Democrats won it with Barack Obama carrying Florida. That's why he's very popular, particularly among the blacks in Florida. So that's why he's campaigning today in Florida in support of Joe Biden. Florida probably is likely to go blue. Uh, this time too. So that ends the whole electoral map of the states. Now we end up with the 340 for Joe Biden and 196 for Trump. There could be small changes in that. So I would say Trump could get anywhere between 170 to 200. I don't see him, crossing 200. Forget about 270. Whereas the minimum I would say for Joe Biden will be 310, and maximum could be even 380 also if he wins Texas and Iowa also, which I said is also a toss-up. So 38 plus 6, 44 seats. So 380 plus is also possible. That will be a huge landslide if he takes the traditional red state of Texas. So this is how it stands. So it's already cooked. I don't see any way. In fact, there are many pathways for Joe Biden to win. So even if he loses Texas, even if he loses Florida, even if he loses Arizona, still he'll be a comfortable winner. So whereas there is only one path, and that is already closed. The path in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin and Minnesota, which carried him through in the last election, all the pathways have been closed now with strong Democratic showing. So Democrats have learned from the mistakes of the last election, and they are very strongly voting for Joe Biden, closing their ranks. Even Bernie Sanders has been come out strongly in favor of Joe Biden, who is considered as a moderate compared to the more left-leaning Bernie Sanders. Um, so nothing more, nothing much Trump can do. But that's how Trump is now trying to play a game. So he's keep on saying that mail-in votes are. So I said around so far 95 million people have voted. Out of that, around 62 million people have voted through mail, and around 32 million people have voted through in-personal voting, early voting. Trump says that there's a lot of fraud in the mail voting and all that. So initially, they've already, some states like Michigan have already started processing the mail-in votes. One thing is doing is all these mailed votes are carried by the postal services, U.S. postal services, to the counting processing centers, and I've seen reports that they are deliberately delaying the delivery of this mail-in votes to the polling count. So some of them may not reach by 3rd of November, the election day. Of course, most of the many cases have been fought in the state supreme courts, and most of the courts have said that you have to take it because people have already voted well before. Anybody who votes before the election day, even either coming directly to the voting centers or through mail-in voting, if it is allowed in that state, that vote has to be taken. That is what the judgment in many of the supreme courts of the different states. But Trump says that the result has to come only on November 3rd. Of course, US time, not Indian time. So I won't accept any other ruling. Probably he'll claim victory on the election day based on only the people, because most of the people who have voted in the early voting, either through mail or by going directly to the centers, most of the out of this 96 million people, I expect that around 55 million people are, or 55 to 60 million people are from Democrats. So he'll have a Joe Biden will have a huge lead in this early voting people. But Trump may have a small lead with the people who actually vote on the election day, November 3rd. So based on that, that will be counted first. Based on that, he will claim victory. And later, once the mail-in votes and the early voting votes started, the whole thing will be completely reversed. So, but Trump will say that he has already won, but the establishment is tricking him to deny him the opportunity, and he may ask some of his followers are well armed, and he has asked them to stand by and watch. And in one of the presidential debates, he told this. So there could be civil war kind of a situation, which you normally associate with the countries like Kenya, uh, uh, Nigeria, etc., could very much a possibility exists there in US, because Trump may not accept the verdict of the people. That is one thing. He's trying to delay the delivery of the mail-in votes, and he's questioning the fidelity of the mail-in votes. And thirdly, has got US Supreme Court majority. 6-3 is in his support. So, so that is also another trick in his thing, to take the issue to the courts, because though election is conducted tomorrow, the US president normally takes oath only by January 20th. So a lot of time is there for him to mount a legal challenge to all this mail-in votes and all that. So he's got a lot of backs of tricks to play. That's how fascism thrives on, basically on outright lies and half truths. And Trump is a master of all these things. So don't expect him to bow down gracefully. They say you have to be magnanimous in victory and graceful in defeat. And that word grace is not there in the lexicon of Donald Trump. So, but you are going to have a lot of fun. You are going to see the descent of US, the superpower, and the country which prides itself of its democratic norms, and all those things are going to reach its nadir come one day. So my prediction is very simple: very very comfortable victory for Joe Biden. Trump is not going to cross even 200 electoral votes margin, and there's absolutely no favor him to come back if he plays a game fair and square, which I don't expect him to do so. Given his pedigree and whatever he has done in the last 4 years, all the stuff. 2 days back, he called in a campaign meeting. He called that U.S. doctors are deliberately killing the patients and inflating the number, because he says that doctors are getting money for if patients die. I don't know from where he got it, but he told it a public gathering in his. Meeting with his followers. He was saying on record only, all things are there. So expect. But what is more important is the Senate race. Senate right now, House of Representatives already Dems have a very comfortable majority. I expect them to hold on to that and probably add a few more seats to their existing brute majority. Nancy Pelosi will again be the Speaker of the House of Representatives, whereas the Senate, which has got much more upper house and much more powers than the lower House of Representatives. There's a very fascinating elections are going on in Arizona, Georgia, 2 seats in Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio. Some states are very very tight right now. The Republicans have a majority 53-47. I expect that to be two Democrats are definitely losing. Alabama is definitely a goner seat, which was a fluke victory last time for them. And one more seat is also likely to flip. That's American terminology. So, but Democrats are expected to pick around 5 seats. Um, so I expect the final thing in Senate will be 50-49 for Democrats, and 1 seat in Georgia, which is a special election, which under their own state law requires 50% minimum majority. That won't be there, so that will go for a runoff election on January 1st week. But with Kamala Harris, Vice President, and also the presiding officer of the Senate, that will be immaterial if Republicans will be able to pick up that also. It will be 50-50. But with the casting vote of the Vice President, who is also the ex officio chairperson of the Senate, Democrats will have control of all three: White House, Senate, and the House. So again, they can push in their agenda. They can undo many of the things. Even if the Republican controlled Supreme Courts undo the Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, they can bring in their own legislation. And Joe Biden was been very passionately talking about the environmental changes he wants to bring in by slowly closing down the oil and gas industry and bringing in more wind and solar. All those things they can push in, and as I said, removing the tax cuts announced by Trump for the rich people, corporates, and all that, and bringing that money into the tax kitty and spending in infrastructure, which the US badly needs, and probably ending the trade war. And probably increasing the number of US Supreme Court judges, which for the last 150 years stands at 9. But it doesn't require a constitutional amendment. It can be done by both houses of Congress. So that is why Senate majority is so crucial for Democrats, so that not only Obamacare but also abortion rights are not taken away. The famous Wade case and all what US people refer to, they are not overturned by a brute Republican majority of 6-3 in the US Supreme Court. A lot of fun. Keep watching. So maybe tomorrow is also the second phase of Bihar elections. I'll be posting a video about the Bihar elections and my predictions maybe one day before the third phase on November 7th. 7th, after the voting ends, you will get the exit polls, and the result I think is on November 10th, I believe. But before that, I think before the other people put their opinion polls, exit polls on November 7th, I'll be coming up with my prediction for the Bihar poll on November 6th. That's how it is. So wait and see. Thank you. Bye.